Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ngosi Talk Show, where our coaches can help you get more from your life and create the space to help you find your voice and be a great leader. My name is Nomsa Clara. I am the founder of Hope Spring Eternally Interesting Agency and the founder of Ngosi Talk Show. So I have a special guest with me today, John Kenny, the relationship guy. So I'm going to let our experts introduce themselves. Also, he can lay out his professional credentials and expertise. Over to you, Johnny. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, Nomsa. Hello, people. So I'm John Kenny. I'm from John Kenny Coaching, and I am the relationship guy. And I work with people to help them to find quality relationships in the past. Perhaps they've had sort of toxic relationships, unhealthy spaces before. Maybe they haven't really focused on their relationship because they've made successes in other areas of their lives, but never found success in a relationship because they haven't put the time in. Or perhaps maybe they've been avoidant of relationships in the past, now want to overcome that avoidance to be able to find the right type of person. Originally, my background's in counselling, so I trained as a counsellor back in 2004, and then as a coach in 2012, then as a hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner, and I fused all of those together to make an approach called interpersonal relationship coaching. So I can help people looking into their past stuff, their self-talk and self-language, have some coaching techniques to help people move forward. And I use the hypnotherapy with something which I call hypnoanalysis. So sometimes we're unaware of why we might feel certain ways. We're not really sure what that story is. And using hypnotherapy, we can go back into our past and have a look to see where those sort of subconscious messages come from, subconscious blocks which stop us from moving on. I'm also an author. My first book came out last year called The People Program, and that helps you to overcome your personal blocks to success. And I also released a documentary last year as well called Forget Me Not, which is about how we learn to fit into our lives as children and the parts of our personality that we push to one side. And when we become adults, we don't really accept certain parts of ourselves. So it's about learning to understand who we really are so we can be our authentic and congruent self within ourselves, but also when we go out into the world, especially in the world of relationships, where we have a tendency to wear a mask and put on a facade because we feel like we need to be a certain way in order to find the right type of person or to fit in. And that just helps us to overcome that blockage there so we can be more authentic when we're actually going out looking for the right type of partner.
Wow, that's amazing, Johnny. That's amazing. But you left something, your profession, when you were in the sports.
Yeah, so you've got a life story as well. So yeah, I was
yes.
So I was an athlete. I used to sprint for Great Britain back in the late 80s, early 90s. So quite a long time ago now. So I was an international athlete for 4 or 5 years. Back in the day, until my body decided it didn't really want to do it anymore. But again, I've written about this in my book and a few other bits of times. I was a massive self-sabotager. Everything I did, I didn't allow myself to reach any success. So even athletics, I got a long way in my athletics, but I wouldn't allow myself to be the full success that I could have been. Every time I felt like I was in a really good space and I was running very well, I would then do something which would ruin that for myself, such as I did with my relationships and business and everything else that I ever did throughout my entire life.
Wow, that's amazing. You are touching self-sabotaging your relationship and your career. So what have you learned from all these things like self-sabotaging? I know our topic today is how to build a healthy relationship and find your calling, but you just touched something very, very important. And for you to be able to have a healthy lifestyle and for you to find your calling, you have to get rid of these bad habits that you just mentioned. So
Yeah.
how, if anyone is watching right now and they are relating to your story, because you know, in relationship, when like you have a wife, so you have to enter your wife's mind and sympathize with her and relate to her. Some right now, someone is watching you, they are relating to your story and they are like, oh, Johnny, this is what I'm doing to myself right now. So what advice can you give someone who is sabotaging their career and their relationship?
I would say that this would is if we were talking about having a healthy relationship, if
Yes.
you're going to have a healthy area of your life, I think the most important thing that you need to do is to know yourself, to understand what your story is, to know where you've come from, to know how you feel about yourself, to really understand that relationship you have with you. And if you can understand that, then you can then start to work on anything that doesn't really work. If I had a car that broke down, I would do a diagnostic check to see what the problem was. I wouldn't just change every part of the car and just hope that something worked, or just keep driving it knowing that there was something wrong. Unfortunately, as human beings, we do have a tendency to keep driving our cars even though we know something might be wrong. But for certain reasons, we are either ignoring it, avoiding it, whatever it might be, because we're just comfortable with driving it along as it is. So to do a diagnostic on yourself, to understand your past, your relational beliefs, your relational patterns, your uh, personal kind of core belief systems. So what really held me back was my core belief. So I didn't really like myself very much. I didn't believe in myself at all. My core belief was somewhere along the lines of that I was never going to amount to anything. So every time I found a certain level of success in any certain area, then my brain would kick in and say, yeah, but you're not going to amount to anything. So then this needed to stop, and either something would happen that would stop that. And if that didn't happen, I would create something would make sure that it would stop. I was also very an avoidant attachment type of person. So I didn't really know how to connect with people at a deeper level because I never learned that as a child. I learned very surface relationships when I was a kid. So when I would like somebody or have a deeper relationship with somebody, something in my brain would say, this is too uncomfortable. You don't really know how to do this. You could experience the same type of pain that you had as a child, and I would get away from that as soon as possible. And the other side to that is that when I would choose relationships, I would choose ones that I knew I didn't really need to connect too deeply to. I always knew there would be a problem, or I always knew that at the end of it there would be a get out clause. So I would always choose to be with people that I could see an exit because of my avoidant type of attachment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, John. It's like you are describing my, it's like you are describing me back in 2008 or 2009. That's how I was like as well. You know,
Right.
when someone describes their past bad habit, it's like you're like, okay, you're describing me now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very, very important to actually understand who you are, your core beliefs, like what you're saying. And for me, basically, I was somebody that follows people, even if the way I dress, I would just see somebody or just look at the magazine and say, oh, she's wearing a beautiful dress, and then I'll go and buy the same thing. That means I don't know who I am. At that
Mm-hmm.
moment, I didn't know who I was. And what you are touching right now is very, very important to know who you are, your core beliefs. And I was listening to somebody, I think a few months ago, a pastor. She is talking, and I was like talking about the image, how important it is your image. Uh, basically what you say you are, your image has to go with what you say you are. So I went into my wardrobe, as painful as it sounds, I have ripped jeans and I'm saying I'm a Christian, and I had to get rid of those jeans and they're expensive. And I was like, I'm not going to give it to anyone, but I'm going to throw them away. And I can feel it in my body, in my heart. They're going in the bin, and I just watch them. And I was like, I have to dress up decent if I'm saying I'm a Christian, because this image does not portray who I say I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I just throw my clothes, and there's one dress that is left. So I'm still proud. So when you're actually speaking that, you need to know who you are, your core beliefs. I relate to you. This is who I was as well. And not knowing who I am and wanting people to affirm who I was, my identity. And it was really, really painful. You know, when you start working on yourself and you realize, actually, I've been sabotaging myself, my identity, my image. It's painful. I don't know how it was with you when you rediscovered yourself, but for me, it was painful.
Yeah, I think the most painful part was actually everything else I'd ever done. I knew deep down I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And reflecting on that, I was a very sad person. Although I was always wore the face mask. I don't think many people would have known how unhappy I was. They used to call me Smiler when I was at school.
Yeah.
And I generally like to be a little bit of a joker and life and soul of the pie. But as I got older, I realized actually that's all a facade. And it felt very incongruent that I was being this happy-go-lucky type person, but actually inside I was, sad a lot of the time. And so that's the sad part for me, is to kind of realize how miserable I was for a long time. But now recognizing that, it's a relief to be able to let that go and change the entire concept I have of myself, which has allowed me to bring in and attract and allow all of these other more positive things in my life, and not give up on myself, which I used to do a lot.
That's really good, because when I met you with your wife, you spoke highly of her, in front of her. It was amazing, and you were like introducing her and talking about how you guys met, and which is you don't see people speak proudly. You don't meet people speak proudly about their other halves, and it was amazing. I was touched with your love story, guys, and getting to know you guys. And even on social media, when I see your post, it feels like, because I met you and you had to tell me your love story with your wife. So it feels like when I'm reading your post, it feels like he is part of the family. I feel like you're part of my tribe. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
You bring that out in people a lot, though, don't you? You've got that quality where you're just so very genuine, and it's very easy to connect with you. So yeah,
yeah. Actually, I've learned a lot. I have my own qualities of being a genuine person, but also meeting people like you guys and hearing your stories. It makes you want to work more of within, when you see people, amazing people like you, the coaches, and working with Des as well, because he actually tells the truth as it is, that if you want to be a CEO, you have to be seen. Your behavior and your character has to basically show who you are, and he basically tells the truth as it is. And it helped me a lot as well with my character, and just learning from you guys, because you guys are real. And when you are surrounded by a real tribe, you learn a lot from those people. So thank you so much. So coming back to the building a healthy relationship, is, how does it mean to have a healthy lifestyle? Does a healthy lifestyle play an important part for you to be happy in a relationship, Or do you just have to wait to have the healthy lifestyle until you've met someone?
My philosophy is for you to be as healthy as you possibly can. And if you're being the best version of you, then everything that you attract into your life will be the best thing for you. So if I really love myself and I'm really doing the best for myself, then I'm only going to attract a healthy relationship in. Because anything that's less than that, I'm not going to let that happen. And also, if there's somebody that I meet that is maybe not in the same sort of space as me, if I'm the best version of me, I can then help them to elevate themselves to be the best version of themselves. I'm not necessarily saying that I need to have a relationship with someone who I need to work on to sort of bring them up to kind of being the best version of themselves, because that's not my responsibility or my job. But if I was to meet someone and I'm in a really good space, the law of attraction kind of dictates that I will meet somebody that will be on the same type of energy level as me, and they'll complement who I am rather than complete who I am. Because if we're looking for someone to complete us, then there's obviously something missing inside. And if I've got that already sort of sorted out for myself, then I know that I can bring in the right person for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That is so very true. You don't need anyone to complete you. And when you use the word complete, I think you can use it like if you have been married for 50 years or 60 years or 40 years or 10 years, and you've gone through ups and downs, and that person sticks with you. Because, you know, like people intend to say, oh, okay, I want to find this beautiful relationship. They have all these image and ideas, and then they find this special person. Everything is beautiful, and when problems appear, they are like, I'm out. So I agree with you. No one can complete you, because you have to complete you. You have to be fulfilled within. And if you are not fulfilled, that means the person that you are dating, they're gonna feel the same. That actually, I don't. This relationship, it hasn't got a meaning. But if you are fulfilled, that means you are attracting somebody that is the similar situation with you. So thank you so much, Johnny. Is that so? If someone like right now who is watching us and saying, how do I actually work on myself and feel fulfilled? What advice can you give them?
Okay, so the first thing I'd say obviously would be get yourself a good coach to be able to help you, someone that you know is going to be able to help you to understand yourself, someone who's going to be able to completely focus on the things that you bring, and then they can help you to kind of put them into sort of some kind of space. It's really interesting that because they're our things, it's really hard a lot of the time for us to join the dots. So we can read books, watch videos, listen to podcasts, but because we're in that space, it's quite difficult for us to actually internally be rational and objective and say, okay, let me try and put this together for myself. Some people can do that, and that's great. So, you know, podcasts, books, listen to the people that talk about how to work on self-development and really understand. And some people will get enough about that to be able to put that together. But yeah, I would suggest that, you know, if you're really interested in understanding yourself, is that you speak to somebody that can help you to unravel that and put the pieces together. You know, once you've done that, once you really know what your issues are, maybe the things that are holding you back or stopping you from attracting the right type of things into your life, the right type of people into your life, then you can start working on those things that you need to work on in order to stop that from happening. So changing that relationship dynamic that you have with you, and also understanding the reasons. I think it's a massively important thing to be able to understand and dispel the past. So your past has told you a story, and you take meaning from that story, and the meaning that you take will drive your thoughts, it will drive your emotions, and it will drive the way that you act and the decisions that you make. And understanding that, and then saying, actually, no, I don't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I know why I do it. It's because of this. Because if you understand something, if I was to try and teach you something about physics, perhaps, you know, it would completely go over my head, I know, unless someone sat me down and said, well, this is why this is the case. If someone said, this is why, I can understand that, and then I can start to work with it. And I think understanding the why is really important, both about your past, and then also, you know, when you sort of touched on the topic of today, which is finding your calling. You know, why is a really big word in both of those. So to understand your why about your past will then help you to work on that, because you can then start to dispel and get rid of all of those old things that you don't need anymore. And then finding your why moving forwards will help you to kind of reach your calling and make the success of your life that you want to find.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Johnny. Finding your why is very, very important. I remember when I actually, when I left football in 2009, I retired, and then I'm like getting excited that my life is going to change. I'm gonna relax and I'm gonna have fun, and the same time, I was in a relationship, and then I find myself, I'm retiring, I find myself in a broken relationship, and I was like looking at myself, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was like, okay, I'm asking the wrong questions. So I was like, I just need to find out why am I existing on earth and what is my calling. And you know what? It changed everything. And I remember I went to, I think, 3 psychologists, and every time I go and talk to them, they ask me questions about my past, like what you are saying. You have to understand your past, you have to understand your story, and use that story to help you build your life moving forward without blaming anyone. So everyone kept asking me about my story, my childhood, and I'm talking. And I was like, this is exhausting. I'm not getting anywhere here.
Yeah.
I already know my story, but it was my mind that was not in the right place.
Yeah.
So when I decided to actually use Paul McKenna's programs, where he was forcing me to actually focus on my mindset, subconscious, and everything. And it was like every time I do his program, and I was like, oh my goodness, I've been behaving like this because of this. And it changed me, because it made me realize that actually I didn't know my calling, I didn't know my worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in that relationship, I had no clue how to run a relationship.
Mm.
But if you were to ask me at that moment, before I'd gone to Paul McKenna, I would be like, my ex, he was responsible for everything. I was in the right.
In your mind, like you said, you were, but it was you that were in that cycle, wasn't it? You were kind of, you know, you didn't know why you were in that relationship, because you knew that relationship was wrong for you, but something about the way that you were attracted that relationship to you in the first place. And if we can understand that, and like you said, and get your mindset in a different space.
Yes. And you know what? After that, I laughed, and I was like, I thought I knew about relationships. And if you had asked me after I finished, I would have said I didn't know anything. Honestly, I didn't know anything how to express myself, my desires, my want. I didn't know how to do it. Or even sometimes with my ex, even if we wanted to go out, and somebody comes up with the idea and saying, we are going out to this place. Would you like to come with us? Instead of us saying, no, we've already have plans, we feel guilty and just go along with that, because we want to please our friends and we want to please our family. And
Right.
that does not work in the real world.
No, exactly. And the thing is you did know about relationships, but all you ever knew about relationships was what you learned when you were a kid.
Yep.
You know, you develop these relational patterns, relational beliefs as a child, and then you take them into adulthood, and you just keep repeating the same kind of relationships over and over again. And I think what you said there is also what you really want. You didn't know what you wanted. All you knew is what you needed. What you needed was to keep doing what you've always done because that's all you knew how to do.
Bad habit.
Yeah. And
Bad
then
habit.
when you realize that I don't really want to do this anymore, this isn't the kind of relationship I want. I don't want to please people all the time, because that's a massively draining space as well, isn't it, to be a people pleaser? If you're always putting the needs of people before yourself, eventually you're just going to run out of emotional energy, and you're just going to be depressed and low and anxious and everything else that goes along with that kind of thing when you do run out of your own emotional energy.
I know. I don't know how you discovered yourself. For me, it was. It felt like I'd gone back to university and trying to find who Nomsa was, because I was writing the notes and getting the challenge. Sometimes I get the challenge of going to the coffee shop, and the waitress, they serve you, and just trying to find that confidence for me to be me. So sometimes they give you a cold hot chocolate, whatever you order, they give you, instead of hot, they give you a cold one. But instead of having that courage to actually say, excuse me, it's cold, can I have a hot one?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I wouldn't do. So I was getting challenges every week, to like being challenged every week. Now you're gonna go out, and if you don't get food, if the food that you order is not cooked the way you want, you're not complaining, you're not gonna scream, you're not gonna shout, you're gonna express your feelings, how you want that to be done.
Yeah.
I did another challenge where I didn't have experience for the job, where I'm gonna apply for a job knowing that I didn't have experience. And the reply, when I get the reply of saying, I'm sorry, your application didn't make it this time, instead of me feeling sorry for myself, I have to write a note, a gratitude note, and feel happy that I took action. It was so much challenge every day, and it was nice after I finished that, knowing that actually I'm just gonna live a healthy lifestyle and I'm gonna be happy. It was nice, and I'm sure you felt that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, it can be tough sometimes because we've learned to do this, and again, depending on how deeply kind of entrenched our beliefs and ideas are, will kind of determine how much resistance we have to change. So, when I work with my clients, I always warn them that we might hit a resistance space, because you've been doing something for so long. Your brain feels quite safe and comfortable in that space, doing the same thing over and over again, even though it might be very miserable and unhappy and unfulfilling. But it knows that space, and it prefers to, most of the time your brain prefers to stay in the known space. So when we do try and change things, then our brain will go, oh no, I don't know if I want to do that. And it will try and take you back to what it knows. And that's when change can be quite difficult, because we need to then be really conscious and persevere like you did. I'm going to challenge this. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to see what the positives are from this. I'm not going to allow it to take me back into this negative space with which I've come from. My change actually was when I met a coach. I was a counselor, and I went to a meeting and got talking to this coach, and they said, oh, I'm offering these free introductory sessions. Do you want to come along? So I went along to this session, and she said, you know what, you've got this counseling, you're helping all these people. She said, why is your life still rubbish? And I said, what? And she said, your life really stinks, doesn't it? She said, you're so unhappy, and you're living by all of these beliefs and this story that you're telling yourself. It's all very outdated, and how are you going to move this forward? And I thought I knew myself because I'd had therapy myself and I was a qualified counselor, but actually I knew who I was, but I had no idea how to change it. So she kind of set me on the path to saying, This is your story. This is what you keep telling yourself every day. This is why your life never changes.
Yes.
Tell yourself a new story. So that's when I really started to understand the power of change, and actually that if you just understand what you're doing and get that kind of kick to push you in the right direction and really be conscious about what it is that you're up to, you can really make a lot of significant changes in your life.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Johnny. It's amazing when you look back the way we were, our better habit, and you look back now, and as a coach, you are like, what was that all about? My life story, what was it?
But that's the good thing. I know what it was about. And I do that with my clients, and they say, I don't know why this is happening. And I go, think about it. You do know, don't you? And they go, yeah, I do know. So what do you want to do with it? And they go, oh, well, I want to change it. I want to do this instead. I say, well, let's do that instead. So it's a question that we do say that a lot, don't we? So why is this happening? I don't understand this. I don't understand that. And actually, when we sit and think about it, you go, yeah, actually, I do understand that. I do know why I feel like this. I do know why this is happening. Now I know how to change it as well.
Thank you so much, Johnny. You've touched the important part where you say you were a counselor, but your life was rubbish. But what advice could you give any other coaches? Because there are some coaches who are good at what they do, but then they change people's lives. But when it comes to their own lives, they neglect their lives. So what advice can you give someone who is a coach and who is actually living a rubbish life like you were living? Because it's easy to read books, it's easy to get a coach, a business coach or a relationship coach to stand by you, and then you learn all these things. You think, oh, let me teach other people, and then you change people's lives, but you neglect yours.
Yeah, I mean, if you've had the coaching, then hopefully you wouldn't do that, because if you had a good coach in the first place, then they would have got you into a space where you know who you are, you know what you want to do, and you know the direction that you need to take.
Yes.
If you are not doing that, then you've clearly just taken this upon yourself to maybe be a helper. I've always been a helper.
Yes.
So my career has always been, so I worked in retail to start with, so I was always serving people there. Then I went into selling insurance where I was serving people there. Then I trained to be a teacher, which I really didn't like doing, but that took me on the path to psychology. So it was a great step for me, again, serving people. Then I was a firefighter for 12 years. I was a PT, so a personal trainer. So I've always been in the serving industry. So I knew that was my calling, but I never knew what the calling was until I went into therapy. And I thought, oh, this is what I need to do. I need to help people, but I need to help people on themselves, not save their lives, sell them clothes, or make them look fit. It was actually, I need to help them to feel good about themselves and get rid of their problems. And then coaching was then the thing that then really switched that around for me. And that's when I really found my calling. It's because that was the most powerful experience I'd ever had. And I knew that's exactly how I wanted to help other people. So having the right person that's coaching you will help you then when you start to coach other people. And if you're not putting yourself first, you need to go back and find another coach. Or you need to remember maybe the things that you learned when you were training about your own wants and your own needs, and being able to focus on those for a while, so that you can keep yourself in a healthy and positive space. Again, it's what I say to my clients, and it's what I say to myself. If I'm the best person I can be, I can offer the best to everybody else. If I'm in a positive, healthy space, emotionally and mentally, physically as well, then I've got a lot to give. If I'm in a bad space, then I haven't got a lot to offer, and I will run out of my reserves very quickly. So it's really important that we have that time, we spend that time on ourselves to make sure that we are in a healthy space, and then we can do the best job for everybody else.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jody. You mentioned the firefighter. I
Mm.
went for becoming a firefighter, only lasted for one day. I was like, I'm out. I lasted for one day.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, I'm out.
Okay. Well, I
That
managed
is a
12
tough
years.
job. Honestly, that is a tough job. I I went and I was like, sorry, excuse me, I'm out. This is not for me. That's not my calling. And then I went, that's when I got into, when you listen to your, when I listen to your stories, like we have been doing the same journey because we've been into sports, we've been into, I went to firefighting for one day, you went for and psychology. And then that's when I was like, I'm taking a degree in psychology. I ain't doing this. This is not for me. It was tough.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole day and I was like, I don't think I can do this. My body does not, I don't think even if I can cope, but I don't think this is my calling. So I have to give you 1000% credit for that, for saving our community.
Yeah. Yeah. That was amazing. It was amazing at times when you actually, um, again, because of again, with the relationship I had with myself, I never really acknowledged my achievements. So even when I was an
Yeah,
athlete, it took me till maybe just 4 or 5 years ago before I was actually able to look back and say, well done
yeah,
myself. Well done. You ran for Great Britain. You saved people's lives as a firefighter. You've saved people's lives as a therapist.
yeah,
You've done really well for yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. And we don't, my personality, I wouldn't have allowed that before. I wouldn't have allowed myself to say, well done to me. And I would quite find it hard to accept it actually if anybody else said it as well. So
yeah.
it's really important that we do acknowledge our own achievements, we acknowledge our own successes, and are proud of ourselves for what we are able to do. Um, you know, Before maybe I wouldn't have been able to do. I would definitely wouldn't have been able to do that. And so I think that's another really important for you to be able to reach your uh, success level that you want to reach.
Yeah.
It's not just about keep driving forward and looking for the next thing. For you to be actually happy and content, you need to acknowledge what you've done. How did you get to this point? The effort that you've put in. Be proud of yourself for doing that, and then that'll be hopefully give you the motivation to continue. Um, because if you feel good about doing something, then you'll hopefully want to do it some more.
Yeah, that is so true. We think that good goals are the ones that success are the ones that you have to be grateful of. I've learned that the hard way, like you, that I need to give myself a credit for everything that I do. Just getting up in the morning and having the courage to go and have a shower and work on my business and do what I do. Before I wouldn't give myself credit. I was still going for more and still going for more, thinking it's gonna fulfill me. But now I've learned as well to actually appreciate myself
Mm-hmm.
and appreciate people around me as well is very, very important. Like you come on this talk today, I've learned so really the hard way to actually tell somebody that I appreciate you. I appreciate you being just coming uh, to talk. So thank you so much, Jody. And when we were talking earlier, we talked about uh, the relationship, how you can actually be a good role model and teach others, and also be happy yourself as well, other coaches. And I've learned to actually live in that story where I say, if I say I'm a love harmonist. So what I've done is I sat down and I was like, who is Nomsa? And I look at everything that I do and I say, I'm a love harmonist. So that means I represent love. So every time I get out of line, I have to tap myself and say, no, sir, that's not what you do. That's not what you do. So I have to, my character, it cannot pretend. My character has to be real. And before, if I wasn't happy, I'll just pretend. Or if if I wanted something, or if I wasn't in a good place, I would just pretend. But now I've learned to actually let people know if I'm not feeling good, or let people know my wants, my desires. But before, I wouldn't do that. I won't know. Giving people's problems, or people knowing your problems, that's not the right way I used to tell myself.
No.
But now I'm realizing that if I need to move forward, if I need people to help me, because you can't get help if you don't find somebody. You can't go around, obviously, and tell everybody. You have to find that champion, that one champion. With my business, basically, is Des O'Connor. When he doesn't hear from me, he hears, "Hi, how are you?" He knows everything is okay. But when I email, that means nothing is okay. It's problems.
Yeah,
So
okay.
he knows. He'll be like, "Calm down, calm down. It will all gonna be sorted out." And he's very good at sorting things out as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned the hard way to actually express myself, even in my relationships as well.
Yeah.
So I can be happy. If I gonna wait for my lover to be a psychic, basically to assume my want and my desires, there is no way that I'm gonna be happy.
No, you're just going to wait forever, aren't you? Then.
Yeah. Even, like I go jogging in the night with the rubbish bin. I've noticed what I've been doing for the past few years. I just get the rubbish bin out. I know that today is the rubbish bin goes out. I just take it out. And in my mind, it's like I can't say I've taken the rubbish bin today. You have to. It's your turn tomorrow. I can't do that. I know that I can't do that. So I have to keep doing it. I have to do something, knowing that the other person is doing something. I know they are in the house, or he's in the house, is looking after the kids. So, sometimes I time it when people are fighting because of the rubbish bins. My friends tell me, it takes 1 second to actually pull the thing and put it across the road. And then when I meet my friends, they're actually complaining, like, he doesn't take the rubbish out. I'm thinking, you know what? If you knew how relationships, people are struggling to find that special person, that person that is real, you wouldn't be sitting here and complaining, because it is tough nowadays to actually find that special person. I don't know you. When I talk to my clients, some of my clients, when I meet them, they say when they go out, men actually, they say we have to pay half. If the meal, or if they're buying a meal, they have to count all the pennies, how much, because they've been hurt before, so they don't have time to be used anymore. So I'm thinking, seriously? They're like, yep. Sometimes some men, they say they meet them, and when they go on a date, the men will arrive, and sometimes they'll tell them, "I've eaten home, so I'm just meeting you here to have a chat. If you've ordered a meal, you're gonna have to pay for it."
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you get up and walk out, hopefully.
I know. So if my friends, they have good husbands, or they have good wives, I'm like, do not complain. Just be grateful, just to look at her. Because what we don't realize is, we focus on the who is done what, but we forget that when you're doing something, it's like I'm cooking something in the kitchen, or he's cooking something in the kitchen. That means I'm doing something that is valuable as well. So I'm not just sitting, or I'm playing with the kids. So that's what we forget. Like, people, you don't have kids, don't you?
No.
Yeah. So if your wife is doing something, that means you are doing something that is valuable as well. So we actually forget all those things.
I think that our brain is quite negatively biased, and we do have a tendency to think about all the things that we're not getting.
Yeah.
And there's also a significance as well. So if you put a significant thing, so I've spoken to a few people recently who seem to have this thing about men putting the bins out. If that is important to you, we need to understand why what does that signify?
Yeah.
For you? So if someone is not putting the bins out and they're making, and you're putting the bins out and you don't like doing that, it's important for you to then to go, okay, what does that mean to me? Why am I making that significant to myself? And maybe what am I ignoring the fact that actually at the moment they're, looking after the kids, or they're cooking the dinner, or they're working on something because maybe they're working from home at the moment. So it's important that we understand, again, it always comes back to ourselves. Why is that significant? And if it is significant enough and maybe indicates other problems within the relationship, then they do need to be addressed. If it's just something within you that actually you're making it out to be something that maybe it isn't really, and you're giving it a meaning, so to say, if you don't put the bins out, that means you don't respect me. Then you might be then making that up for yourself. And we really need, again, that's the importance of looking at yourself and saying, what does that mean to me? Okay, if that's indicative, okay, well, then you don't ever do any dinner, you don't ever do any housework, you don't ever look after the kids, you don't actually do anything for me, then you can understand why putting the bins out would be such an important thing, because it indicates that actually you're not getting anything that you need, or anything you want from that relationship. And that's, like you said, that's when you really need to speak up and say, actually, what I want is a warm chocolate. I don't want a cold chocolate. You need to help me to have that. You need to be part of this relationship, which makes me feel valuable, and that this is a very balanced and a good place for us to be in. And not to keep it quiet to yourself and just moan about it when you're dragging the bins across the yard and I'm putting the bins. You're not doing anything, and otherwise the resentment will just build, and then it'll escalate, and then you'll end up having a row about something that really doesn't matter.
Yes, it is amazing. Stephen says he loves your talk, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there any ingredients required for a healthy relationship, Johnny?
Yeah, so I would say that obviously the first thing is to know yourself. So I would say that's probably the first thing. Then I would suggest that when you do things, to learn about each other. So once you've learned about yourself, I think you need to understand each other. So it's about really engaging with that person and getting to know that person. What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What do they want? What don't they want? What needs do they have? And then if you're going to fulfill that for them, you do it because you want to. So there's always going to be a time when someone else is going to want something more than you. And therefore it's okay if that suits you to be able to do that. But what we have a tendency to do, and I'm not talking about people pleasing here, because if we don't want to be people pleasing, so we don't always want to do what the other person needs.
Yes.
But if it makes me happy to make you happy, then that's a good thing for me. If I'm meeting a need to make you happy, then that's not a good thing for me. Because that would be, again, that's a learned behavior that probably I picked up as a kid, that I needed to make everybody else happy to feel good. So when we're doing things for each other and when we're prioritizing the needs and the wants of someone else, it needs to fit with us healthily and in a positive way. So I would suggest that you need to be able to say, okay, this is more important to them and I want them to be happy, so therefore I'm happy to do this. But if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel that you're doing it for the right reasons, then that's something for you to check in. Communication is massive. So whether it's positive or negative, if, like I just said about putting the bins out, you don't let this situation escalate. It's about being comfortable enough in each other's company to say exactly how you feel. Obviously, if there's far too many negatives, you're probably in the wrong relationship. And generally, if these negatives continue, then you're not resolving anything either, and nothing's changing. So I would suggest that communication is a massively important part of a relationship. And I suggest, with when I do some couples coaching, that people actually put some talk time aside.
Yeah.
So if I want to tell you something and you're not in the right frame of mind to be able to hear it, you're not going to respond in the way that I want you to, or the way that I need. So I always say to my clients, you know, if you have some kind of conversation time, talk time put aside, then you're both in the right frame of mind to at least hear what the other one has to say. You may not be able to resolve it in that moment, but you always make a point of coming back so that issues are resolved, and that you're communicating exactly what's going on for you. And the more we touch base with each other on those things, generally the smoother the relationship will be. Probably I would suggest about knowing each other as well is that you learn each other's love language. So there's a book by Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages. We all have a primary love language. So how do we like to be loved?
Yes.
So whether you like to be a physical, like intimacy, whether you like words, whether you like deeds, gifts, on time. So if I like you to want to spend time with me, but you like words, the chances are that you'll keep telling me that you love me, and I won't feel loved because you never give me any time. And then I'll give you all of my time, but I never tell you that I love you, and therefore you don't know that I love you because I never tell you.
Yeah.
So we generally, all of us have a primary love language. We all have probably a mixture of all of them. But if we can understand what the person's primary love language is, then I can make you feel valued. I can make you feel cared about if I fulfill that for you. So if you like a lot of intimacy and touching and hugs and stuff, and I just need to give you lots of hugs, and then you'll feel that I care about you. So understanding each other's primary love language, I think, is important, and obviously knowing what your own is too. So how do you prefer to be shown affection? Is it through time, deeds, words, intimacy, gifts, whatever it might be, and understanding what that is for you. Sometimes that's not quite congruent for you because it might be something you learned as a kid. So I've got a client at the moment, and it was a very profound line actually, and we were talking about their childhood, and they said that their parents never really gave them anything, affection, time, or anything like that, but they bought them stuff. So they had the best of this and they had the best of that. They had the holidays, they had the Xboxes and PlayStations and whatever else that they had, but they never got anything else from their parents. So they've now grown up thinking that they need to be bought gifts for them to feel like they're cared about. But actually what they're really craving is for someone to pay them some attention, to show them some understanding, and then they're going to feel loved. So when we are also checking in with what our love language is, we need to understand where that comes from and whether that's actually really working for us. So it might fill a hole for a little while. So I might buy you something and you'll be happy for 5 minutes, but actually after that 5 minutes is over, what you really want is for me to put my arms around you and tell you how great you are. So although the love languages are important, we also need to make sure that that actually is really what we need.
Thank you so much. What you're saying about your client and having all this with his childhood, I had the same as well. My parents, they were giving me lots of things that I wanted, but at the same time, there was an explanation that I need to know who I am, and I need to understand my values, my beliefs. And now my language, basically, if you buy me a gift to please me, that gift has no meaning to me. I find it that, like what you're saying, that I'm going to be happy for 5 minutes. And then after, basically, I need time. For me, if you want to please me, it's the time that you give me. And that time I cannot be, basically, you can't go wrong. I'm easy to please, and even in the house, and my children and their father, they know that I'm actually easy to please. You go and buy a Gucci present and you think I'm gonna be pleased. I can't. I've tried, basically. I've tried, but it's not me, basically. But if you give me time, and if I see my friend, like I get up in the morning and I think about a friend and I'm like, let me give this person 5 minutes of my time, and I call them, that makes me happy because I care. And when somebody, they do something for me, before I worked on myself. I felt that I needed to give it back. I need to give something back.
Mhm.
But now I understand the principles. When somebody gives me something, I have to show appreciation, and it has to end that way. I don't need to give back. I don't need to do anything. So I had a problem as well with one of my clients, and she was saying, basically, if you give me something, or a friend gives me something, or they babysit the children, I feel that I have to do something. I have to go and buy a expensive present,
Mhm.
basically to say thank you. And I was like, why do you feel that way? And she was like, I don't know. And it's actually a really, really bad habit, like what we
Yeah,
do.
so that would be conditioned in them
Yeah,
as they're not used to probably receiving things without having them, without it being conditional. So they're not used to people giving to them freely.
yeah,
So they feel like they probably, what they experienced as they were growing up, or maybe in other relationships they've had, is that everything that they received was conditional. So therefore, it doesn't sit comfortably with them that this is just something that somebody wants to do. It's interesting what you said, though, that you need time and someone
yeah.
might go and buy you this Gucci handbag. But actually, what they might need you to do is buy them a Gucci handbag. So what we need to recognize is they might be doing for you what they need you to do for them. So if I'm giving you presents, it could be what I need is for you to give me presents.
Oh yeah, he likes buying things. I think he goes on Amazon every day and buying things. So he's fine with buying me things.
Right.
But for me, basically, you give me time. You give me time. You buy me ice cream. You sit down with me. You actually
You share your ice cream.
yes, you'll be my favorite person. You just buy me an ice cream, and you sit down with me and you tell me all about your stories.
Mm.
You'll be my best friend. That's my love language. Basically, even at home, they know that I'm easy to please, because I feel that love comes from within, and there is no expensive car or expensive house that will fill me. So
Mm.
all these things, they are just things that for me to have pleasure, to enjoy. But I have to, basically, my love language is you give me time, I'm happy. What is your love language?
So my primary love language is probably deeds. It's probably when people do things for me.
Yeah,
I do like, my secondary is probably intimacy, so sort of affection and feeling wanted. Yes, words pretty don't, words pretty much go over my head. Uh,
words are just words, they're part of it.
yeah, it's the deed behind the words. If you show me, then I'll believe it. If you just say it, then it doesn't really mean anything.
Okay, when you say the words, what is that song? There'll be a place. Okay, it says, okay, words are just the words, they're just part of it. So I'm just remembering the song that I used to write.
Okay.
The words are just the words. It's just part of it. But there's a place inside of me that is filled, and it needs to be filled as well by somebody that cares about me, because I already care about me.
Right.
I used to say, I used to practice that words are just words. They're part of it. When I was working on myself, to teach me basically that if
Mhm.
I'm speaking something, it doesn't mean I mean it. I have to act on it.
Yeah.
So
I find it very difficult when
yeah,
people do things for me.
yeah,
And still, even now, it makes me feel very uncomfortable because I know that because it means so much.
yeah,
So if someone goes out of their way to do something, I get very emotional inside, and I don't really know how to be in that for a few moments because I'm so not used to that. But I know that's my primary language because
yeah,
when someone does it, I really feel it.
yeah. Okay, so we can live by, we can live, people. How, this is our last question now. How can I make my dating relationship healthy?
You can't. It takes two. All you can think about is what's healthy for you.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're, again, I think that when I'm working with my clients and we're getting them back out into the world of dating, or they start to date, and it's really important, again, I can come back to the point that they know who they are, they know what they want, and they are going out into the world being that person.
Yeah.
If I go out with a facade or wearing a mask, then the person I'm attracting will like my mask. They won't like me.
That's true.
They'll just like what they see. And then a few months down the line, we'll be dating, we're getting on really well. And I'm thinking, actually, now I can start to drop my mask a bit now. And the person I'm with says, who are you? That's not the person I met.
Yes.
And then they might reject you. They might say, okay, I don't really want to be with you because now you're showing me who you really are. But what they've actually liked, they liked the person that you were pretending to be. So for you to be in a healthy relationship, you need to know what you want and know who you are, and allow someone into your life that accepts that. They might be putting on a facade as well, so that's something that might come up. But generally, if you're being authentic and you know exactly what you're going out there for, you'll attract the same type of person in who knows themselves and knows what they want as well. Although obviously that's not always going to be the case, because some people are very lost in their own spaces and will maybe give you the impression of authenticity, but it's not really authentic at all. So you might come across a few, just walk away from those bricks. You don't need to persevere. If you meet someone and it's working all right for a few weeks or something, and then all of a sudden you can notice these signs that aren't really right for you, you can walk away, and then you go and find someone else who does fit with you much better. But yeah, you can't make a relationship healthy. You just need to be healthy. Know what you want, know where you're going, and you'll attract the right type of person in. But if you work on the type of things that we've already discussed, about understanding how other people work, and I think that's the great thing about understanding yourself, is that when you understand yourself, it gives you a much better view of everybody else as well, because you can go, well, I know I do that because of this reason. They probably do this for that reason.
Yes.
So then again, you don't have to take anything personally, because you can always reflect it back and say, okay, why would they do that? Maybe because of this. Is that a problem for me? No. Is it something we need to discuss? Maybe. Is that something I want in my life? No. They can go.
Yeah.
But as long as you have that self-awareness, then every possibility your relationship is going to be really healthy.
True authenticity is very, very important, and most of the people, they don't show their true authenticity. They always wear a mask, which is not good. Like what you are saying, that the other person will be getting to know the mask, not the real you. So thank you so much for that. I remember once, I have a friend who is a professional musician. So I went to visit him, and I'm his friend. Can you imagine? So he likes everything classy, high lifestyle. So I'm watching him. He's serving me. I'm his friend. He's serving me like he's serving the queen. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna teach this one a lesson. So he sits down, and I don't drink alcohol or even wine. So he sits down, and everything is serving all these posh glasses and stuff. And they had gone and bought a beautiful non-alcoholic drink. So I was like to myself, I'm going to teach him a lesson. I'm his friend. Why is he treating me like this? This is depressing. When you're with a friend, you're meant to be free.
Yeah.
So I just picked up the bottle, and he thought I was going to pour it in the glass, and I just drank the juice. Oh, and I was like, yes. Oh. And I was like, oh, I thought you were going. I was like, listen, I am your friend. You are not outside with paparazzi. I am your friend. Treat me like a friend.
Yeah.
You don't have to pretend. Even when you are out with other people, live a normal life. And that moment, I was touched, and I see him doing what I was doing and grabbing the bottle and drinking from the bottle. And we started talking. So, and I've realized, I said to him, you don't have to live this high lifestyle, or when I'm coming to visit you, or when the family comes and visit you, you have to be free. And I said to him, the life that whatever you choose to do, you're prisoning yourself. Just be free. And I was like, I've never realized. I was like, now you know. And I was like, I was just teaching you a lesson. Honestly, he just did all the hard work. And I was like, I'm watching, and I was like, this is depressing. And I was like, I don't do this.
Right.
And I just let him sit down, and he put the class there, very polite. And I was like, I'm going to teach you a lesson, young man.
Hopefully he learned the lesson and was
Yes,
able
he
to
learned the lesson that you don't need to
treat you
put
like the queen.
when you're with people, you just need to be free. And I said to him, listen, when I listen to your music, I feel great that my friend is talented. But when I come and see you, I don't want you to treat me like a queen. If I want food to drink, just show me where everything is. I'll go and get it myself. Or if you feel that you have to do things for me, just do things for me and be happy. Be in that free place where you're just going to sit down and live a normal life,
Mm.
not what you are expected to be.
It's
Because,
like what you said when you were throwing your jeans out, isn't it? Right at the beginning,
yeah,
that you realize that that was just image. And unfortunately, when you're in the public eye, I guess, you are conditioned to put out an image. You need to put out
yes,
an image that you think is going to be accepted by people. And that's a lot of pressure, a lot of strain on you to try and keep up that facade all the time, especially that, like you said, when you bring it into your day-to-day life,
yeah.
and even with your friends, you're trying to portray an image that isn't really who you are, and that's a massive burden and a massive strain on you, and it just makes you feel so unhappy.
Yeah, that is really, really true, Johnny, because you're not becoming who you want to be. So at that moment, I felt like I need to teach him to actually set himself free. I was like, you don't need to be like this. Even when you go out, let people see the real you, because I'm not here to see the lifestyle. I'm here to visit you. So just be you. And he was like, thank you so much. And we started drinking from the bottle. And I was like, actually, I didn't want to drink from the bottle, by the way. It's just, I was just teaching you a lesson.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Johnny. If anyone is watching you today, if they want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
So if anyone's interested in sort of getting any coaching, then they can book in for a free relationship breakthrough session, and you can do that via my website, which is
Okay.
www.johnkennycoaching.com. And they can just book in a call with me, a free half-hour call. We'll chat where they are with their relationships and see if we can work together to help. If you want to, I've had a Facebook group running for about 4 years, and I've actually done nothing with it at all.
Okay.
So I'm actually starting to try and get people into my coaching group as well on Facebook, because
Okay.
I'm going to start doing some lives. I'm going to start putting content in there to help people with relationships, get them to ask questions and interact and stuff. So if they just look for John Kenny Coaching on Facebook, they can follow me on there. But if they want to join the group, it's a private group, so they can jump in that. And then if they've got any questions about relationships and stuff, hopefully I'll be able to answer those in there as well. I'm all over social media, so if you just put John Kenny Coaching in, you'll find me everywhere. But yeah, if you're interested in the call, just go onto my website and book in a call. If you want to join the group on Facebook, it'd be great to have you there. And I look forward to hearing from anybody.
Okay, I'd love to join your group as well. Please send me
Yeah.
the link. I'll join your group. It sounds exciting. As long as are you working on your group now, focusing on it?
Yeah, well, I want to do a bit more with it because it's been there, like I said, for 4 years since I set up my business page on Facebook, and I've done nothing with it at all. And I think it's a wasted opportunity where I can actually interact with people. We can interact
Yeah,
with the group and with each other. Anyone's got any relationship problems, needs any relationship advice, or just wants to sort of talk about things that are going on in their lives. If they're happy to be open in the group. If they're not happy to be open in the group, that's great. Just send me a message privately, and then I can talk about it. And hopefully you'll get the answers that you want via me just talking about it. And if you want
yeah.
to be, I will. If not, it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be really interactive, and people will be able to take a lot from it.
Yeah, please add me on your group, please. That would be lovely. And I look forward to come and see what your group is about.
I'll send you an invitation.
And learn. So you know, I was watching that guy from the moon. He says, for you to learn more things, you have to pretend as you know nothing. So I'm coming to learn, Johnny, in your group. When you see me, I'm not a relationship coach. I'm coming to learn.
Okay, open
Yeah.
mind.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
we
much.
we can't know everything, right? That's
Yeah.
the way it is. Our brain is not capable of knowing everything.
So we could actually do, because you have a group and I have a group as well, we need to set up something actually to do Facebook Live more often regarding relationships.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Jen, for coming today and giving us your time. Audience, for those who are watching, if you want to get in touch with Johnny, you can get in touch with him with the details that he gave you, or you can get in touch with him through Ngozi Talk Show. I have a phone number there. If you want to speak to any of these speakers, you can ring me. I'll connect you with them. And you can do that and go to our page and contact Johnny if you want to get in touch with him, if you don't want to go to his website. And what about the membership? You have a membership site, because I saw on your website.
I do, yes. So I have a coaching membership. So it's £49 a month for people if they want to join up, or they can sign up for 6 months and they get £10 a month discount. And basically over the last 8 years or so since I've been coaching, I've done lots of different training. I've also got my own stuff that I've put together as well. So everything I've kind of learned in those last 8 years, I've put it all into kind of PDF format. I've got video courses, I've got audio courses. So if people don't really want to have a coach, but they want to coach themselves,
yes,
there's hundreds of pieces of content on my membership site for people to work through themselves. They also get access to a copy of my book on there, and I think my documentary's on there as well, so they can watch the documentary included in the membership and get a copy of my book too. Yeah, so it's £49 a month if they want to do that, and they can download the stuff and watch it as many times as they want to.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Johnny, and thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.